good people? This is D. Marie coming at you. This is actually like crazy. Like the 10th, like real actual online content that I'm putting out. 10th video. So YouTube subscribers, thank you for your, paying attention and for being down and all of that good stuff. That's cool, man. So a lot of good views out there. So I appreciate y'all for checking me out and riding with me and doing what's this little light got going on? Oh Lord, you never know. See, that's what happens when you put yourself on camera. Anyway, today I want to talk about something not very technical, not barber specific at all. We're talking about taking risk, right? And just getting out of your comfort zone. I was talking to one of my students the other day, man. Good guy, makes me laugh. Good guy, but lives in a comfort zone a little bit, right? So I told him this story, and I thought that I would share it with you guys because it's super important, man. If you want to be anything other than what you are right now, you have to make a change, and a change of mindset is first, right? But then actions have to follow it. Like, you got to do something different. It's the only way to be anything different is to think something different and then actually do something different. So a little bit about me and my story. So I started cutting hair. I grew up, born and raised. Actually, right now this video is shot in my home in Gary, Indiana. Born and raised in Gary, Indiana. I, have always worked in Chicago, so I feel like Chicago raised me a little bit professionally, but right here in GI, man, that's where it started. That's where it went down. So anyway, went to barber school out here, got my license out here, started cutting hair when I was in school in a little natural hair shop on Broadway, and I couldn't get any business, man. I tell you, I couldn't get any business. Woof. I actually put a sign outside. I hand painted a sign where I was doing $10 haircuts. That's how I started. And I couldn't get a lot of clientele, man. I had a lot going on, still in school, and I was working at the post office and doing all other type of stuff. Really couldn't commit a lot of time to the barber shop. And it didn't take off for me at all. I was not doing very well. And I didn't have a lot of time to commit, so a lot of that was my fault. But nonetheless, I couldn't eat. I wasn't making money. So left there, went to a shop in Chicago on 55th and Wentworth. And I'm not going to say the names of the shops because I don't want to, but what's up, y'all? It's still all love. I never left the place bad. But anyway, went to a shop on 55th and Wentworth in Chicago, right? Was doing decent, but still not like enough to really make a living. Fortunately, I had a lot of good support around me. So Patty, if you're watching this, appreciate you. To that and Ayana, for pushing me to go to school in the first place. Thank you. I always had a lot of good people supporting me and pushing me along the way. My teacher, Mr. George Austin, love you, appreciate you for pushing me. So anyway, went to the shop on 55th and Wentworth and still wasn't really getting by, man. I mean, was kind of scratching and was not doing good financial management either, right? But definitely not making a living. Like, it was not happening over there, and it could have, but I didn't know what to do to succeed. So that's why I wasn't. Long story short, man, somebody introduced me to a big barbershop chain that was just opening up their first shop, getting ready to open up their first shop in Chicago. And she said, yeah, you should check out the website and stuff. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, it seems pretty cool. But their first location is in Lincoln Park, right? So now I go from Gary, is about 99, 97 or 99% African American, to 55th and Wentworth, about 100% African American. And then I had this opportunity, right, this potential to take this new job, but it was in Lincoln Park, cutting round cell hair. Now, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to use shears, really. I didn't know how to cut round cell hair. Like, y'all want me to go to Lincoln Park and cut hair for these yuppies, and I don't know how to do that. So I was intimidated. She told me about this job for about 3 weeks probably before. One day I was just sitting in the shop, dead broke, couldn't afford lunch. And I'm looking at my life like something's gotta change. This ain't gonna work. So I go online, I put in an application. I say, what the hell? can't be worse than this, right? One of the keys that hooked me on this chain was that they had a guaranteed hourly pay. So I said, well, worst come to worst, I completely suck, but at least I get a check and I know I got something coming in until I can get stable and, you know, and work something out for myself. So they hooked me with that, no lie. And I got a call back within a few hours, maybe. I think I put the application in at lunchtime, and I was probably on the phone with the regional, at that time, the shop owner, and he went to get promoted and do other stuff. But I was probably on the phone with him within 3-4 hours, easily by dinner time. I was on the phone with this guy doing a phone interview, and he was like, well, when can you come in? Jeez, I don't know, you know, still intimidated, crazy, had no idea what I was doing. But I met with him, he liked me, he gave me a technical interview, and let me tell you what I did. I was terrified, I was paranoid, I had no skill whatsoever, so I went to Supercuts, because it was the closest thing I could think of. And I just sat down and watched them, and I talked to the technicians, and I said, now what are you doing with this? You know, they were using wall guards I had never seen before, the big purple one, that's a 7 if you don't know what that is. I think it's, then the orange one, the 8, you know what I mean? Or is the orange one, I don't know, I don't even use those anymore. But I went to Supercuts, and I sat and I watched and watched and watched for about 3 hours. And then I was like, all right, this seems simple enough, I can do this. And I totally... Anyway, moving on to the technical interview, right? So I had all my stuff in the book bag. I was nervous. I'm in Lincoln Park. I'm like, I don't know, this is crazy. I don't know if I should do this. I get off the bus, jump off the bus like, and when my foot hits the ground, I drop my bag. My masters are in the bag. Everybody knows, come on, man, what are you doing? Without an adjustable clipper, they break. The only thing I had with me were Austin 76s with his 000 and a 1 blade and shears, comb. Had no idea how I was supposed to do ball fades on round cell and flat cell hair with no adjustable clippers. But long story short, I mocked it, I figured it out, I got the job, learned along the way. I educated myself a ton. I watched a ton of American Crew DVDs, some Pivot Point DVDs. I watched every single person who worked next to me, who worked with me, ever. When they were doing something I didn't know, I went and sat, and then when the customer left, I asked them a ton of questions. You can ask anybody who worked with me in Lincoln Park. My whole time there, I was learning. I moved on to a different shop, same chain, but a different location. When they opened a new one, I went to that new location, grew a ton. I ended up growing in a management position, getting on the education team, National Board of Educators, and traveled. We worked on creating the academy that they have now to teach methods to everybody else, and it was just a great experience. I went on from there to open my own shop. Now I'm 100% completely diverse. There's not a head of hair that couldn't sit in front of me, and I wouldn't know how to cut it. I can cut anything now. But the point being, if I had never taken that leap of faith to put in an application in somewhere that was completely foreign, I wouldn't have been pushed to learn different things and to grow in different ways. There's a ton of you right now, and I went to school with some people who are literally cutting in the same shop 10 years later that they were cutting at when we were in school. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you love where you are and you're comfortable with it and you don't want to grow, and you don't, you know, if you are in your zone, if you're in your lane and you're good with staying there, then that's awesome. Stay there. By no means do you have to, you know, jump around and take the path that I did. But if you're one of those people who just want to grow and expand and know everything and be able to do everything and go everywhere, then you're going to have to take some leaps of faith. As barbers, it's a really traditional thing for us to do, to cut the type of hair that we have, stay in the type of neighborhood that we grew up in, right? And never really move outside your box. You don't go into corporate positions because you worked probably at a mom and pop shop, right? That's just a traditional thing to do. But had I stayed with tradition, I wouldn't be cutting hair right now. I would not be a barber. I wouldn't have a brand. I wouldn't own a home. I wouldn't have owned and closed the shop. I wouldn't be an educator that just won a really prestigious award at a really prestigious school. I would have never been written up in magazine articles. I would have never managed for a corporate chain. I wouldn't understand retail and projections and P&Ls and everything you need to know anything about business. I would have never known those things or learned those things. And you know, it's just so important, if you want to be bigger than your circumstances today, that you take leaps of faith, that you push yourself into uncomfortable places. So, because uncomfortable places are the only places growth occurs, right? Like, think about going from middle school to high school or from high school to college. Super uncomfortable. Those things are never comfortable. But you grow and you learn and you change. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but you grow out of the person that you were and you evolve into something new. And if you want to be anything other than what you are right now, whether you're sitting in your car or sitting in a barber chair watching this or reading this or whatever, you know, whatever the case is, if you want to be anything other than what you are today, you have to start making different decisions and growing into uncomfortable places, right? And if that's taking color classes, or if that's learning how to use shears, or if that's whatever, learning to cut a different texture of hair or use a different, you know, method to cut hair. You know, you don't have to put clippers on everything. I tell my students that all the time. They say, Miss D, how would you get this out? I said, with texturizing shears, or I would point cut it. But we're so stuck in everything, we got to put clippers on. Well, I moved this guard, and then I moved this, and then I did this. Well, stop doing that. Pick up a different tool. Learn something different. Do something different. It's the only way to grow. So that's my message for y'all today, man. Just a little bit of my history and where I come from, and also get out of your comfort zones. It's the only way to grow past where you are. There's no risk in learning. Learning is risk-free. No matter what you learn, you're not gonna be at a disadvantage for learning, ever. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You learn something and then you don't use it? How painful is that? There's no risk. There's no loss. You can only grow. So that's my message for y'all, man. Get somewhere uncomfortable. Do something different. Grow. Change. Learn. Evolve. And you can only get better. All right? It's D. Marie. Take care of each other. Love, peace. Barber love. All that good stuff. Thanks for watching, man. 10 videos in. That's what's up. So I appreciate y'all. Thanks to my subscribers. Click the link, man. Subscribe so you know what I got going on next week. Woo. Silly. All right, let's go.